Hello, all my happy Crumpin' Wargamers. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We are actually going to do a little catch up on some of these faction focuses. I haven't been covering most of these because, honestly, I just haven't found them all that interesting. But recently, my mind has started changing on the last few days, so I'm going to start covering them from here on out. But to just do a little quick update on all of them, basically, it looks like the GW team has been doing a great job of keeping things looking like they're pretty dang balanced. Space Marines do have the special ability called the Oath of Moment, which is pretty cool, where they can choose one unit in the enemy army to reroll hits and wound rolls against, so they can focus fire down one enemy unit. I think that's cool. I don't think that's overpowered. I think everyone who's saying it's overpowered is wrong. You can always just hide that one unit. So yeah, I think it's a good, cool rule for them, and I don't think it's overpowered at all. We went into the Necrons. They had their new resurrection protocols. I know there's some mixed feelings about that. I can see the arguments for why it's better or why it's worse. I think overall it looks, as of right now, a little bit of a nerf for the Necrons, but we don't have that much to go off of yet, so I could be completely wrong on that. I do like the fact that they're making things a little bit less swingy. They're getting flat 4 damage on their Doomsday Arcs. So the Necrons have some cool stuff coming out. All the other factions were, just kind of, there's a cool thing here, there's a cool thing there. Chaos had a really good army special rule. So basically what's going to happen with Chaos is they can elect to take a battle shock test per unit. And each unit that takes this battle shock test, if they pass it, they can get either auto wounds or exploding hits. And if they fail it, then they're going to take D3 mortal wounds. And that's actually pretty freaking cool. like that's awesome. It gives them a huge damage boost, especially when you have Abaddon, who's giving the 6-inch aura of reroll, so they can start fishing for those 6s that can really do damage. So the Chaos had a pretty good special rule. Then we went into Astra Militarum. So I want to kind of talk about the Astra Militarum right here. Not because there's anything that was particularly great about them. I mean, it seems cool. They still have their orders. They can now take their shock troops in units of 20 instead of 10, which is super cool because I know a lot of my friends really enjoy being able to spam infantry. And so they're going to be very excited about this. But I'll tell you the rule that I liked the most. And I'm just going to scroll right to it. I'm not going to go through all of this because most of this is fairly old news at this point. The Baneblade. Rolling Fortress is its special ability, and what the Rolling Fortress does is each time a ranged attack is allocated to an Astra Militarum model from your army, if that model is not fully visible to every model, not just the unit, every model in the attacking unit because of the Baneblade model, then they get the benefit of cover. You get rolling cover. You get movable cover. This is so cool, so fluffy, and so freaking real. Listen, I was in the army for a little bit. I've got friends who were deployed. If you have gunfire coming your way, it's nice to be next to a tank because, bullets don't go straight through a tank. There's other weapons that can go through a tank, but bullets don't. Tanks do provide cover for infantry soldiers, and now we're starting to get this rule laid out in Warhammer 40K because that's just the freaking way it is, and I love it, and I hope this gets replicated throughout, the eternity of Warhammer, I suppose. So yeah, I really enjoyed the Astra Militarum's release. I thought it was very, very cool. They've got some reasonable options. I thought it was very balanced, very fair. I really loved the way that they're changing the Born Soldiers because Born Soldiers makes Guard oppressive. It's too much damage. When the entire army is auto-wounding on 6s to hit, that's just too much damage. So what they're doing is they're taking Guard now, and Born Soldiers is still an option. But the way it works now is that if you do not move, so you remain stationary, then you get to auto wound on 6s. So it still gives Guard the option of having overwhelming firepower, but they have to earn it by fulfilling the criteria. This is so cool. When you have mechanics that you have to qualify to receive, I'm thinking about the Genestealer Cult's ability to add crossfire or get exposed. If exposed, you have 2 units, you can draw a line straight through them, you get +1 to wound. You have to earn that +1 to wound. But it's a great rule. It's an amazing rule. It can really give you a lot of increased output, but you have to earn it. So I love the idea of giving armies strong special rules that you have to earn. So now the Guards can still get an amazing amount of firepower out there, but they have to earn it. They have to earn their 6s auto wound. I love it. I think it's very fair and very balanced, and it's going to help quite a bit. So moving on, let's just go ahead and look at the Sisters of Battle. Now, this was the first time I had a bit of an error, or a bit of a concern. So I was not particularly happy about the Sisters of Battle option that came up. Overall, it was looking cool. These girls are going to get a heck of a lot of Miracle Dice, like a lot of Miracle Dice. So they're just going to be spamming them like crazy. But the thing that I did not like about the Sisters of Battle is, let me just scroll straight to it. Triumph of St. Catherine is quite cool. Battle Sisters Squad, whatever, it's fine. I hate this. Guys, indirect fire is just so freaking toxic for the game. It is. There's really, the only reasonable indirect fire that I have seen in the game is the Eldar Night Spinner. It's good, don't get me wrong, and it's scary, but it's not broken. And yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I think that's the only reasonable indirect fire that I've seen in the game. You've got crappy indirect fire that just doesn't matter. I'm thinking about like the kill rigs, their indirect fire, their Evi Lava Shot. It's completely useless because it's always only going to hit on 6s and you can't buff it in any way. So that's kind of useless. Then every other pretty much aspect of indirect fire is just absolutely oppressive. Guard mortar teams are oppressive, especially when they get to reroll full hit rolls. They're auto winning on 6s. They don't take any of the penalties to hit. They get added hit rolls. They get benefit of take aim, which gives them +1 to hit, +1 to their AP. Lord Solar can give them full rerolls. Their 6s will auto win. The problem with indirect is that it's buffable, and it's just so stupidly strong. Now you get people in guard who are taking Earthshaker batteries. You're giving them the order to make them +1 to hit and then +1 AP. So these things are shooting just a shocking amount of indirect fire that's causing an insane amount of damage, and they're able to buff it. You fix indirect fire of one of two ways, right? You either, maybe one of 3 ways. What you do is you get rid of indirect fire. I'm okay with that. But if you want to include it as a mechanic, it has to be non-buffable. Like, what you get is what you get. You cannot improve it. You can't add auras to it. You can't add orders to it. You can't add stratagems to it. Because anytime you allow buffs on indirect fire, it is oppressive. It's a nightmare. Or you make it so damn expensive, no one uses it, which basically eliminates it from the game. So this Exorcist, this is so stupidly strong. And it's strong because of this weapon right here, heavy. And if you remember, the new heavy weapon keyword means that if it doesn't move, it gets +1 to hit. So it's hitting on 2s. It's 36-inch range, 3d6 attacks, blast, so it's getting additional hits. It's ignoring cover, so your cover save doesn't matter. Ballistic skill 3, but it's +1 to hit, so it's hitting you on 2s. It's so stupid. Like, why do they keep doing this? The only way the Exorcist here is going to be even kind of reasonable is if they just price it crazy. If they just put a terrible price on it, then it's going to be reasonable. I was so excited on 10th until I saw this, and then I was pissed. This sucks. This heavy Exorcist missile, it's D6 +2 shots, ballistic skill 3, also heavy, so it's going to be hitting on 2s. Strength 10, AP 2, damage D6. It's just stupid, man. I hate this rule, and every time GW seems to implement it, they just suck. But I'm done complaining. Let's move on to another thing that I'm very excited about. Let's talk about the Leagues of Votann. So the League of Votann actually look sick. So I heard some people talking about, oh, they're terrible now. They don't get the auto wounds. They're not terrible. They're actually looking really, really great. So think of it this way, okay? The problem with Leagues of Votann, as is right now, is the Codex is absolutely broken. Stupid broken. The ability to eliminate an entire step of the game, which is the rolling to wound for the entire army, is silly broken, and it can't be fixed. So the only way GW could give balance to Votann is by making the entire army so freaking expensive, you can only take half an army. And the mechanic is still oppressive, and it's still broken. It's just they don't have enough models that they can't compete. So now they have to be so expensive that they can't win tournaments, or... I mean, that's really the only way you solve that broken of a mechanic. So what they did is GW came out with a way to be like, all right, how do we keep this concept of the grudge intact, but make it not oppressive? And they freaking did it. Okay, everyone's all pissed off now because they're like, oh, Earthkin Warriors, they have a ballistic skill of 4 up. Yeah, but they're going to be hitting on 3s because they're going to be +1 to hit. Because the entire army is going to get +1 to hit against something with a new judgment token. Or if they have 2 of them, you're going to get +1 to hit and +1 to wound. That is an extremely strong army-wide ability. So the entire army is +1 to hit and +1 to wound. And let me show you one more thing, guys. Your basic Hearthkin Warriors, toughness 5. These suckers are tough. Man, Votann are actually looking like they're in a great freaking place. in a great place. Anyone who tells you different, I don't think they've thought about it enough. Votan's looking very good, and this new rule isn't broken. It's +1 to hit, +1 to wound. Yeah, that's really good, but it doesn't break the mechanics of the game in any earth-shaking ways. So I think what we're going to see is we're about to see the points cost on Oliver Votan decrease dramatically, and we're going to see people can actually field an army, and an army that has a good, strong rule that is not oppressive. I'm really excited about this. I think all you Votan players, you're going to be doing better with the new army because you're going to have an actual army and not half an army. It's just going to be more fun to play, and it's going to be more fun to play against. So I think they knocked it out of the park with Votan. One other really cool thing about Votan, if we take a look at this reactive reprisal, this is sick. 1 Leagues of Votan unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. They get to shoot as if it was the shooting phase. Currently, this stratagem is, I think, phase locked only to bikes or warriors, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken a little bit, but it's basically only your bikes and your warriors. And they can't shoot in the next shooting phase. Now, they can shoot you immediately and shoot in the next shooting phase, and any unit in the army can do it, including the Hecaton Land Fortress. And it's 2 CP, but another cool thing about the Votan is they have their, let me just scroll up here so you guys can all see this. Sorry if I'm scrolling too fast. I hope you don't get dizzy. But they have their Ruthless Efficiency. Basically what this means is at the start of the game, they're going to put 2 Judgment tokens on any unit on the field. And if they kill it in the first or second by the first or second command phase, they get 3 CP. So if you use infiltrators against the Votan, essentially what's going to happen is they're going to start the game with 5 CP to fuel a 2 CP stratagem that they're just going to spam out like crazy. This is strong. Now, there will be some counterplay, and we don't know if there are redeploy rules in the game right now. I was just discussing this with one of my buddies. But if there are redeployed mechanics, sometimes you can bait this out. So say at the end of deployment phase, Votan chooses your unit of infiltrators as the ones who are going to take the 2 Judgment tokens, and they're planning on just killing them turn 1 and then gaining 3 free CP. But if we have a redeploy mechanic, you can actually take that unit and put them in strat reserves or whatever, because we don't know the rules about how redeploy works yet. But there could be some counterplay there. But so far, Votan are looking great. And then I think we're going to go on into today. Let's talk about the World Eaters. Holy crap, guys. These World Eaters are the strongest preview we've gotten yet. And I'm going to show you why. This rule, the Blessings of Khorne, they're going to roll 8 dice. All right? And these dice, they can spend to use up to 2 of these abilities for the entire army. It's not for the unit, for the entire army. So, Rage, Fueled, and Invigoration, add 2 to the movement characteristic of models in this unit. That applies to the entire army. So you roll 8 dice. If you have any doubles, so 2 1s in it, you can spend that, and then every model in your army gets +2 to move. Strong. Wrathful Devotion, any double. So basically the exact same qualifier I just said. Everyone gets a 6-up Feel No Pain, and if you already have a Feel No Pain, you get +1 to that. Also, very, very good and very easy to qualify. Like rolling any double on 8 dice is not hard to do. Martial Excellence. A double of 3 or more. So a double of 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 5s, 2 6s. You get sustained hits, which is exploding hits, exploding 6s, right? That's epic. We love it. Total Carnage, any triple roll of a die, or 2 dice that are both higher than 4, or 2 dice that are a double that's higher than 4, a 4 or 5 or 6, or any triple. Then you get the entire army gets to fight on death on a 4-up. Unbelievably strong, especially if you know, say you're playing like orcs and you're about to eat a huge Wa phase. Ooh, that's so good. Warp Blades, double 5 or any triple. Everyone gets lethal hits, which is auto wounding. Crazy good. And then we have the strongest ability that we have seen previewed by GW yet, Unbridled Bloodlust. Any double 6 or triple 4-up, the entire army gets advanced in charge. The entire army gets advanced in charge. Let's stack that with giving the entire army +2 to move. They can get this every single turn easily. On 8 dice, you're always going to roll 3 4-ups. But no, I've rolled 8 dice without rolling 3 4-ups. The math says you will, and even if you don't, there's a special rule that anytime you have a unit of Berserkers and they have an icon and they're on an objective, they can choose to reroll one of those dice. So essentially what's going to happen is your home field for the World Eaters, they're going to have a unit of Berserkers on there, and then one unit's going to be in no man's land, okay? And so you're essentially every single turn going to get to reroll 2 dice. So you roll 8 dice, you can get to reroll 2 of them, and you're telling me you're not going to get 3 dice that are 4 or higher? This is really strong. Really, really strong. Or it's a triple 4 or higher, so you need to get 3 4s or 3 5s. Okay, maybe not quite as good as I just said. Still really dang strong. I think all you World Eater fanboys out there should be super excited. I don't think this is broken, but it's real damn strong. Khorne Berserkers are really good. They still get Blood Surge, so they get to move when they're shot. It doesn't work if they fail Battle Shock, which is cool to see some more information about how Battle Shock is going to interact in the game. Then we see Angron. Okay, Angron, he's still hella strong. He got his damage 2 attacks. It's not 37 attacks or whatever, but it's now damage 2. So everyone who is complaining about that, teammates, shut up. So he's got his damage 2 attacks. His wounds is 16. We don't know how that's going to interact with terrain yet, so he did lose a few wounds. His toughness went up, and he lost some movement. But the movement and the attacks can be compensated for, right, by the, not Blood Tithe, what was the new rule called? Blessings of Khorne rules, not Blood Tithe, Blessings of Khorne. So that can be compensated for. Now, if you do a Blessing of Khorne roll, you have to roll 3 6s. But if you roll 3 6s and Angron's dead, boom, he comes back full life. Not injured, not bracketed, full life. And his special rule, which is Wrathful Presence, is chosen at the start of the charge phase, which means no more of that annoying, oh, can I use my abilities when I'm dead or not? That was going on with Angron previously. Now it's at the beginning of your charge phase, you get to go, okay, every unit within 6 inches of me gets +1 to their charge roll, or you can give everyone an extra attack, or you can give every unit that's within 6 inches of Angron reroll hit rolls. Super dang strong. I think he's incredible. I think he's in a great place. I think he's going to be pretty dang tough. He's going to move fast. He's going to smack things. He's going to do what Angron wants to do. And he can come back to life at full wounds. He's tough. The Blood Offering is really cool. Basically, if you happen to kill a unit, say you kill a unit of Berserkers that was on an objective, if you spend 1 CP, that objective remains under your control. It becomes sticky. Very, very cool. Interesting little thing is that we don't get like a detachment ability here, but we do see some cool like new cannons from the Lord of Skulls. It's pretty good. But yeah, man, I think World Eaters looks amazing. It looks absolutely incredible. This was a little bit of a catch-up video for me. So in the future, I think I'll follow the rest of these factions. I'm gonna release an individual video for them. So far, I love all the factions. I'm very disappointed in the indirect fire that we saw from the sisters. Very, very disappointed in it. Besides that, I'm pretty freaking excited about everything I've seen. Everything else just looks great. And we're going to sign off with that, everyone, buddy. Until next time, you get some good crumping out there, all you amazing wargamers. Bye-bye.